Well, we are less than 13 hours away from NFL football finally kicking off. We are here. Welcome to the very first ever NFL show. Hello, everybody, and we are now live. The NFL season, as I just mentioned, is less than 13 hours away. Can you believe it? Who is excited for some football? This guy is. Welcome to everybody in the live chat. Before we get into anything, make sure you're hitting the like button. Make sure you are subscribing because now we are showing you on Hotspot that we have many, many different quivers in our bow. We've been doing Premier League shows now. You think we're a one-trick pony? You are wrong, my friends. Obviously, I'm very aware that switching sports obviously means that I'm switching, my target audience. It's one of the main challenges that I've taken on running this channel, obviously. And I've fully embraced it. This is the NFL. This is something that I am insanely passionate about. It is my favorite sport, one of my favorite sports. And we're so excited. The Kansas City Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens kick off the season tomorrow, and you could not have chosen better teams to kind of go at it. It's probably in my rankings, which I will reveal. I'll reveal maybe on this episode, not really, probably on the next episode. My rankings, my playoff predictions, everything. You will see it all coming up. But this is my number one and two ranked teams in the NFL, and it couldn't have picked a better matchup. Did the schedule makers in the NFL? So, really looking forward to it, man. This was a game last year, obviously a rematch of the AFC Championship game. So it should be fun. So anyway, guys, make sure you are liking, make sure you are subscribing. Since the last time we have gone on air, we have not made any grounds on our target of minimum target of 500 subs, which we are still 55 subs away from. Yeah, it is now Thursday evening. So look, I'm going to try to keep tonight's live pretty brief. It's kind of late. A lot of people probably wanting to go to bed, especially in my time. And yeah, it's early morning in the US, but I felt like I had to get this video out, get the NFL show started, and we could talk some ball. Two previews. The first one is going to be of tomorrow, and then we're going to preview the game in Brazil, which features my favorite team. So a side that's very close, near and dear to my heart, the Philadelphia Eagles, taking on the Green Bay Packers in Sao Paulo. It's gonna be some good stuff. Good stuff coming up. So, firstly, what we're gonna do, I'm just gonna give you an update because this is just a live, just kind of preview and get everyone started. Welcome to everybody in the chat. NFL season less than 13 games away. This is our first ever NFL show. I'm just gonna keep repeating myself every time new people come into the chat so they kind of know. Um, I'm switching lanes here. We're talking NFL today, as the game is going to be kicking off tomorrow, and so yeah, this is the sport where I nerd out the most, where I have statistics and everything, and all that stuff is kind of on its way for you guys. So what we're going to do is preview the games, and on the weekend, I'm going to release my predictions for everything. So just so everything's on the record, I'm also going to make my picks for these first two games, and then the weekend I'll do Anton's picks for the rest of the games, and therefore I will adjust my record predictions depending on the winners and losers of this game, just because, unless of course I'm correct on both, just to keep it accurate. Um, but yeah, so first off, let's talk about the Chiefs and the Ravens. First, obviously, we're talking about the Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. And look, over the summer, I think they've gotten stronger. They added Xavier Worthy in their first round pick in the receiving room. So Patrick Mahomes has now got basically another Tyreek Hill's prototype type of wide receiver, which should be dangerous. They've also brought Hollywood Brown over from the Cardinals. Actually, interestingly enough, a former Raven, so he'll be debuting for the Chiefs against his former side. Juju Smith-Schuster, who won the Super Bowl with them against my Eagles and bantered afterwards, unfortunately, is back with the Chiefs. And look, I think obviously what it is about the Chiefs this year is they're trying to achieve the impossible, which is a three-peat. And and what's really scary so far, just to give you an insight, I've been trying to simulate the season using my own algorithms, and thus far, it's looking very promising that the Chiefs might actually do it three in a row. They are actually so good that one thing that's scary is that when this Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes version of the Chiefs started, they were a one-sided team. They were all offense, and their defense was very easy to go after. That's why you would see the Chiefs in so many shootouts, which was always great. It was great for CBS as well because all the Chiefs games, not only did they have the best quarterback in the NFL, but all the games were tight and they were exciting, and they kept continuing the playoffs. You remember the duels with Josh Allen, one of my favorite that game. That it was a um, divisional round game, the Chiefs and the Bills, and that was one of my favorite ever playoff games I've ever watched. Thoroughly entertained. But yeah, now what they have as well is a very, very good defense. Obviously, you got Chris Jones at the base of that defense. They've drafted well, um, and now they're just really good on both sides of the ball. So they match up pretty damn well against almost everyone, and that is really scary because a team that just seems to by default either get to the Super Bowl and win it just keeps building. And Brett Veach, the general manager of the Chiefs, is an is just he just keeps on making the Chiefs better. But their opponents, obviously, tomorrow are the Baltimore Ravens, and that's the team that ended with the best record in the league last year. Um, Lamar Jackson, the MVP last season, so he's coming off of an MVP year, and yeah, the MVP against Super Bowl MVP, evidently, but they obviously are upset with how that ended, and they went and they've really increased their ranks. One thing I would have said about the Ravens last year was that actually um, the offense is very Lamar Jackson centric. and I don't mean necessarily in through the pass, more through the run game. And I feel like um, they needed to add more to their running back room. It's actually funny because they're now their running back room is basically completely moved west to join the Chargers because he had Dobbins and he had Gus Edwards last year, and but now what he's done is he's gone ahead and added what I believe to be the best running back in the NFL outside of obviously Christian McCaffrey, but he's added Derrick Henry, who is a literally walking, talking refrigerator, and the guy is so hard to take down. He's the best goal line weapon there is today. He's the best stiff arm I've ever seen. And he takes the Ravens to the next level. Um, yeah, obviously, yeah, hit the like button, everyone. Uh, Zay Jones, Zay Jones, he not Zay Jones. What's on Zay Flowers? Zay Flowers had a remarkable season last year for the Ravens, and I expect him to take his game. Second year players tend to have really good leaps. So from when you're a rookie, you're getting your feet wet, and in the second year, you kind of get a rhythm, and you kind of know NFL defenses, and it becomes the norm for you. And that's when you really start to see that confidence and that ability shine. And you're going to see that, I think, from Zay Flowers in year two. So the Ravens are really, really good. I did think they lost some key pieces on defense. Patrick Queen had left. He actually joined the Steelers. So I think that's a big loss. Obviously, they have the other linebacker, Roquan Smith, who's probably the best middle linebacker for me in the NFL. And look, I guess, in terms of the books balancing it out, they had to go one or the other. And they chose Roquan, which I think, it's not a bad solution there, isn't there? Um, all right. Well, everyone, feel free to drop a comment if you want. Again, I'm just going to be here not for that long, just to kind of preview these games, and then we will do over the weekend. We were going to do our real preview show, and I'm going to get into it. I'm going to start showing you on the screen my stats, but I just wanted to get this premiere out. I wanted to get your feet wet. This is sort of the equivalent, if anybody is familiar with Hotspot, of my very first Premier League video, where I kind of gave you a sample of what is to come, and that is what this one is. This is a sample, um, and I'm also basically trying to as well build my NFL community here, because obviously I could tell the viewership on this video is low because generally people have come in here. They're like, he's not talking about the Premier League. I'm out. So this is obviously the this is obviously the the challenge of be having a platform the way I do, which is trying to cover so many sports, is that I do need to build a fan base of every single different sport kind of from scratch. So this is my NFL starting from scratch. But I'm all good for it because this will what at the end of the day, all the people who are viewing after the live are going to enjoy my quick analysis. But I had to get this out there to you guys tonight before the kickoff started because at the end of the day, when it comes to football specifically, I am very accountable with my predictions. And so if I have a record prediction, or if I, people are like, oh well, you didn't tell us, who would beat the Chiefs or the Ravens or the Eagles or the Packers, you know what I mean? And you cheated. Well, I'm going to be honest about my picks now for these two games. We'll be here probably for another 15 minutes or so, and we will duck out because I am also tired. It's been a long, long day at work. Um, anyway, so look, the question is there pressure on Lamar Jackson here to beat Patrick Mahomes? His record, I believe, is 1-4 over all time against the Chiefs, which is not good. And obviously, the ultimate revenge that they will want to get would be in the playoffs coming up. But you have to kind of lay that foundation, kind of get started now. Because now is the time for Lamar to stand up. He's got to go ahead and he's got to beat Patrick Mahomes, in my opinion, tomorrow night. But what is my prediction on the game? My prediction on the game is quite simple. I actually think that last year the Chiefs got caught out on opening night, on banner night, raising night. And I don't think that will happen 2 years in a row. Andy Reid rarely loses week one. I'll tell you that as an Eagles fan who used to have Andy Reid as my coach growing up when I was a kid, and we would never, rarely, if ever, lose in week one. The first time I've seen the Kansas City do, I've seen them do it on no. I remember Kansas City spoiled the Patriots coming out party. That's my last time I remember the Chiefs being before they were good, before they were champion good. I remember when they spoiled the Chiefs and the Patriots on opening night. Um, so who will win this game? I think the Chiefs. I have the Chiefs. So the way I work my NFL thing is I don't really pick from my gut. I pick from my head, and um, I have an algorithm that I put together, which is basically a combination of many different statistics and projections that I've built on my own. I keep it very secret. I keep it to myself. If anybody watched my draft video, I explained it a little bit, but I do have my own algorithm to how I predict games, how I predict seasons, how I predict records. And I have yet to complete. I'm very close. I'm about 80% of the way through my algorithm, through my full season predictions. Um, and so actually in my algorithm, I had the Kansas City Chiefs winning this game. I have the Kansas City Chiefs winning a lot of games. Spoiler alert. And by the way, for in terms of the Ravens, though, even though they lose this one, they aren't going to lose many this season. So they happen to be put on the spot week one, get to go to Arrowhead, take on the champs. But I think, look, in terms of the Ravens, I think that they can get one on Kansas City. It might just not might be later on, and that's if if they play them at their crib at home. Because at the end of the day, in my algorithms, home advantage is a thing. I include home advantage. I include travel. I include weather, but weather different. So, for instance, if you're a hot climate team and you're moving to the playing in the cold, you get docked off points. So it's a whole bunch of other different things that go into this, as well as the players position by position. Um, and yeah, so anyway, my pick for the Ravens against the Chiefs tomorrow, which I'm so pumped for, by the way. I have the Kansas City Chiefs coming out on top in this one. Moving on, and moving on, obviously to the team that I am most passionate about here. Obviously, you hear me talk a lot about Arsenal on the other show. This one, get used to me talking about the Philadelphia Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly, baby. And man, I am so excited to watch this Eagles team. I reckon Howie wrote. I mean, look, I'm going to be honest about my Eagles for a second, and maybe this is a bit, finally a bit personable, so I can, save the best for last. Um, Look, I've got to be honest. At the back end of last year, it was very, very hard to be an Eagles fan. I remember I was at the pub to watch Eagles against Buccaneers, the playoff game. I was there with my girlfriend, and she could attest to this. I, I kind of said out loud, I was upset with the lack of commitment that my team and the lack of passion my team showed, the lack of effort. It was really, I don't know what happened. It was one of the most bizarre collapse ever. From 10-1 to basically losing what 7 of our last 8, something crazy like that. 7, the a collapse of epic proportions. It started. It's actually funny. It is late. Um, it's funny because the week before our epic collapse, we had pulled out the most awesome overtime win over Buffalo, where we we were coming back from behind. We also beaten Kansas City long before that. Um, Who did we beat in between? We also had another epic game in between the two of them. Kansas City game and the Buffalo game. And the Eagles were pulling out some mad results coming from behind. I think we had the Cowboys in that run as well. If I'm not mistaken. The Cowboys at home, and then we had a bye, and then we had Kansas City. I think we had someone afterwards. Remind me who it might have been, but we had someone in between Kansas City and Buffalo, unless it was Kansas City and Buffalo back to back. I think it was actually Kansas City, Buffalo back to back. Yeah, we had the epic comeback to beat the Chiefs at Arrowhead. It was revenge for the Super Bowl, and then we had that epic come from behind overtime win against the Bills, and after that, felt like the team was a bit tired. You could tell, um, and the Niners just came at the most inappropriate time, and they smacked us in the face. They were looking for revenge. They remembered the way that we handed their butts to them in the NFC Championship game, and they came after us. And after that, just something was wrong, and it kept deteriorating and deteriorating and deteriorating. I was like, okay, the Niners, whatever, wipe it. Let's forget it. We get the Cowboys next week. Let's get revenge. And then the Cowboys whooped us. And then the next week we're like, okay, well, we're going to go up to Seattle. And I thought we were decent in Seattle, and we were about to close out the game, and there was the bizarre fourth quarter where we didn't run the ball, we aired it out, and then we ended up throwing an interception, and we let Drew Lock drive all the way down the field to win it for the Seattle. And then you're like, damn. That was the week after we fired our defensive coordinator. And then we proceeded to get a win, and then we lost to the Cardinals. Also, we were up big in that game, and we just let them drive up and down the field. We let Kyler Murray absolutely rip us. We had no answers. It was sad. And then came that Giants game. Oh, where we got our butts handed to us by the Giants. We couldn't even had no answer for the blitz. And then all of a sudden, Tampa Bay put us out of a misery. We went from being 10-1 on a historical pace. We only needed like a few couple of wins to seal the NFC East, and to steal the NFC home field advantage, and we completely threw it away. It was what a joke, honestly. So that's kind of where my Eagles season was left. And I've got Dan Cilio ripping us every single week. You got Nick Wright trying to make fun of us, thinking that we're still there. But look, I'm excited. The coordinators changed. We've got Vic Fangio in the building. Hopefully, he makes a big difference on the defensive side of the football. Kellen Moore, I'm excited to see what he can do with his offense. So there's so many changes. And of course, we brought in Saquon Barkley. Jahan Dotson just came in at wide receiver. So our offense, which was elite last year, got even better. Obviously, we lost Jason Kelsey, which is sad. And man, watching him retire, watching him leave the field on that Tampa Bay game, just you felt like I knew that he was going to retire. He just seemed like a man who was defeated. But yeah, look, I was really, really excited about as well the draft. We brought in Quinion Mitchell, brought in Cooper DeJean. Cooper DeJean, that's how you pronounce it. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. came in. Love Jeremiah Trotter Jr., Will Shipley. So there's some really promising young talents. Isaiah Rogers, we've had on the shelf for a year. He's back. Yeah, so I was excited for a lot of what we did in free agency. We brought in Devin White, who, by the way, will not be on the plane to Brazil. The thought is here, and this could be exciting for Eagles fan if this is true. And I've been listening. I was just watching the Birds 365. John McMullen, if anybody y'all know John McMullen, he is absolutely bullish on Nakobe Dean. It's funny because Dan Cilio, I was watching on one stream, absolutely make fun because he's been the biggest Nakobe Dean hater, although he hates on a guy who's basically been injured his whole career and never really seen if he's good or bad, but apparently he sucks. But John McMullen said that Nakobe Dean is looking ripped and he's looking ready. And the rumors are is that Nakobe Dean actually beat out Devin White. That's right, all pro Devin White in training camp to win the starting position. And Devin White did not like that. He's not take that well. He's complained and everything, and there's obviously some issues. And the Eagles have punished him and they've left him off on back at home. And John McMillan also did underline, by the way, that this might not be the end for Devin White. Let's not go too far on this. Is that Devin White could very well he could very well play against the Falcons if Nakobe doesn't play well against the Packers. But from my point of view, as an Eagles fan and as somebody who's put my stock in some of my players and some of the players that we've drafted, I really want to see Nakobe Dean become an elite linebacker in the NFL. And this could become the making of him. Apparently he's been ferociously training. His upper body is apparently he's ripped. And look, if that's motivated him, they brought in Devin White, and he said, "You know what? I'm going to beat you." I'm looking forward to my dream for the Eagles, because what I prefer is homegrown talent that ends up becoming superstars, players that we've drafted that become great. I'm very jealous of, for instance, like the Niners. They've drafted Fred Warner, for instance, drafted Joey Bosa. I mean, Nick Bosa, Hufanga. A lot of those defensive stalwarts for the Niners were completely drafted, and I'm so jealous. Like when Denver have a corner like Patrick Surtain, and I'm hoping beyond hope that Quinyon Mitchell can be that at the corner position, that Keely Ringo can be that at the corner position, that Sidney Brown could be that at the safety position, that um, we could have Trotter and Dean at middle linebacker in a 3-4 for years with Davis and Carter. Like the idea of what Howie's built on the defensive side is he's now going to let these young boys go out and show it, and I'm really excited. I'm more interested to see what the Eagles do on the defensive side of the football than I am on the offensive side of the football. I know the talent we have on offense. We have, by a shadow of a doubt, the best offensive weapons in the league at every level. Probably San Francisco is neck. And by the way, San Francisco is close. They're neck and neck. I think because I think about Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, McCaffrey, Jennings, um, right? But for the Eagles, we got Saquon out of the back, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Jahan Dotson, Dallas Goedert. Man, we ready to cook. I completely trust this offense with Kellen Moore, who is going to add more emotion into the offense, more things. This is going to be a different looking offense to the predictable one we had last season. And everyone is going to come in here thinking that they know the playbook on us. And we've got something completely different for them. And that is something that I'm really, really looking forward to with the Eagles. In terms of the Packers, on the other side, Jordan Love had a very impressive first year starting last year. I believe they were 9-8, but it was that playoff, those playoff performances when they went to Green Bay, when they went to Dallas and knocked off the stinking Cowboys um, in the first week, and then how they went toe to toe with the Niners the week afterwards. Those receivers, those young receivers, Romeo Dobbs, Christian Watson. Who else is in there? Dontavian Wicks. Who's the third one? Is it? What's his name again? Come on, Packers. Packers wide receivers. Who's the other guy? Who is the other guy? No, who plays? Jaden Reed. And of course, they got Luke Musgrave, who they drafted last year. It's going to be very hard. I mean, I'm actually really excited to see our young DBs play against their young wide receivers. It's going to be really fun. Should be a good matchup. It's in Brazil. I've heard Darius Slay complaining about going to Brazil. And my thing to him would be this: just play football. Just it's a business trip. Set the example for those younger players. You're supposed to be a leader on this team. This is a business trip. We're going to Brazil to win games, and we're going to come back with the W. That is the way it is. It has to be cold-hearted. Um, that's the way it needs to be. Um, and I believe, look, one thing I'm a bit scared of is that the Packers seem to be a lot more quiet about this than we are. One thing I do not like, and I don't think it's got to do with necessarily the Eagles organization. I think it's got more to do with uh, our fan base, the media in Philly, and they just there has to be a story every time. Someone's always having to make something. People like let let Devin White just have an ankle injury. Do we have to reveal a story about, oh, Devin White was upset that he got beat out by Nakobe Dean, and so he's getting an Eagles trying to trade him? This is the Philadelphia media stuff. Jeff McClain does not need to tell everyone that he wasn't supposed to be a starter anyway. It's not necessary. It's not necessary. Dan Sealer doesn't need to start making up stories. And by the way, my message to anybody in the Eagles organization: please stop talking to Dan Cilio. Just I look. I follow Dan Cilio all the time. Me and him have had back and forths, but just don't. If you're gonna be part of this organization, nothing gets out. No, you shouldn't be answering calls for friends asking you about what's going on with the team or this and that. It has to be completely under lock and key. I know Bob Lang. I know that he likes to keep things under wraps, and recently things have come out. Um, the whole thing about us endorsing Kamala, which look, I don't like to talk about politics, but still, to endorse, to leave, to bring those out, and then to retract the statement, and then for later on people find out that it actually was a real poster brought up by the Eagles is just it looks really bad. Just I just want football to start. Honestly, there's been so much conversation about this Eagles team, so much conversation about Jalen. So everybody assumes that he's not good anymore. Like a year ago, he was what top 3. Now he's not good anymore. AJ's a crybaby. This and that. There's a cancer in the locker room. Our defense can't tackle, can't stop anybody. It's funny because through 11 games, we were the number 1 run defense in the NFL, and all of a sudden, at the for the rest of the season, what was it? What were our final record? 11-6. The next 7 games, we were the worst run defense in the NFL, and we need to get back. And I think Vic Fangio, I think he's got everything going. I think he's the perfect teacher for this young defense. He's good at molding some of the best players in the defensive players in the NFL have come out of Vic Fangio's defense. Talk about Von Miller's, Patrick Surtain's, Bradley Chubb's, Jalen Phillips. He turned what's his name last year, Van Ginkel, into a star. So I definitely trust Vic Fangio and whatever he wants to decide to do in terms of if he thinks Nakobe Dean is good and if he's the guy who's going to get a tune out of Nakobe Dean, I'm so looking forward to it. And I'm so excited to this Eagles football to see where it gets going. And I'm a bit scared because the Packers are going to be tough. Now, the Packers are a tough team because they always break the algorithm. On paper, they should be about a 500 team, which they were last year, actually. But they also have the capabilities of really being tough to beat. in certain spots. So we'll see. Does the traveling affect both teams? I'm so interested to see what it looks like. Eagles and the Packers in Sao Paulo, and I'm so excited. Excited to see how things look on this offense. As I said, I watch just to watch my team play again, and as well, shout out to Nick Sirianni because the guy has been under so much fire recently. I just want for us to go out there and win the game. I just I'm probably one of the only remaining Nick Sirianni fans on the planet. And like I use the term fan loosely because I'll admit I wanted him fired, but it wasn't because I thought he was a bad coach. It was because I just thought that we needed a break as an organization and to restart again because the players weren't responding to him. And all of a sudden it's like they give this perception like this guy doesn't know how to coach it whatsoever, and it's just not true. It's just not true. Like he's an NFL. He's brought your team to the Super Bowl. His name's been dragged through the mud, and I just want to see Nick Sirianni. I just want to win for Nick Sirianni against a good Packers team on the road in in a different country. It will be with all the naysayers. I'm being told that we're going to get destroyed. I have former Philadelphia radio host Angelo Cataldi saying we're going to get 5 wins this year. I can tell you we're more than double that according to my projections thus far. And it's just I just needed the end of this bullshit. I just need it to be over. And I just want to watch football. And with that, I'm going to wrap up this show with my prediction for the Eagles against the Packers, and that is I think the Eagles win. And my algorithm says the Eagles win. I think it's going to be a very close ball game. I think we'll win on a final drive, and I think it'll be a Jalen Hurts touchdown run that wins it at the very end. But I'm not going to go into specifics. Don't hold me accountable to the specifics. Just as long as the Eagles win, if it's by 1 point or by 30 points, that's all that matters. I'm not an exact scoreline guy. I like to tell you who wins or loses. And I've got there's a recap. I got the Kansas City Chiefs to win tomorrow night, and in Brazil on Friday, Saturday morning my time, I've got the Eagles, the Birds. That's right. Peace up. Hit the like button. Right. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Come on. Yeah. Yeah, that's how it's done. I love that. I love it. Um, so guys, I hope you guys enjoyed obviously I'm a bit tired, so this isn't the first thing. The proper NFL preview is going to be coming out this weekend. We've also got switching back to Premier League stuff. My official Premier League predictions. We are still working to get a panel together to either film or do a live stream of the Premier League predictions. So lots of prediction stuff now coming out. Obviously, the transfer window is shut, so we've got a sample size of three weeks to kind of give you our final ladder predictions. That's coming up. That is sealed, by the way. Now I've decided. Now I'm going to keep my mouth shut. I'm going to reveal to you in the next video on that video. But again, as I said, NFL, everything. Get ready. We're going to have graphics for you. Everything is just all under works. I'm just finishing the final stats. I was hoping to get it done for you before this, but I wasn't able to get there. I've got so many things going on in my life, including work. But that will be done. And by the way, everybody, wait, I'm just trying to see. All right. We are up to 400 and still 445 subscribers. We are live here on YouTube and Instagram, but for not for too long. I'm actually about to sign off, guys. But yeah, make sure you are liking these videos. Make sure you are subscribing, guys. I'm gonna try to expand this audience, this football audience. I keep seeing my soccer fam come in and out because they're like, "What is he talking about? This isn't the Premier League." Um, yeah, but don't worry, I'm building. I have to build both audiences. The algorithms will work itself out, just confusing the world. But we did this with the NBA as well. So it can be done. I had many likes on videos regarding the NBA and many interactions regarding the NBA. So I can do the same with my NFL community. AFL, actually, I just realized I might clashing with AFL finals. That's probably why my viewership is low. Wow, Geelong is absolutely. He looked at this. Watching me switch lanes. Geelong is absolutely spanking Port Adelaide, and I'm here for it. That's where my crowd is gone. They're all watching the footy. All right, well, everyone, enjoy the footy. All right, obviously, you'll get to watch this from play on playback. We've got some exciting stuff coming out, but until then, guys, balloons for everyone. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Right, give me one more. Come on. There we go. There we go. All right, guys. Have a good night. I'm gonna go take a well-earned sleep. And you guys have a good rest of the night. Enjoy the football tomorrow from my NFL community. And enjoy the Eagles against Brazil. And then yeah, not against Brazil. Eagles against the Packers in Brazil. Yeah. See you guys later, everyone.